making headlines. Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif underscores the need for decisive measures to eliminate officials from across organization integrity within the sector. The government holds Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Minha Maroof. Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif underscores the need for decisive measures to eliminate corruption risks, warning that the Maldives tourism sector, central to the nation's economy, depends on bolstering transparency and investor confidence. Speaking at the inaugural session of the Saudi Maldives International Forum on Integrity at Villa Nautica, he stressed that effective governance frameworks are crucial in securing long-term sustainability. The two-day forum, jointly organized by the Maldives Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC) and Saudi Arabia's Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority (Nazaha), brings together representatives from member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) to explore strategies for strengthening integrity within the tourism industry. Discussions center on identifying vulnerabilities in regulatory structures and shaping policies to safeguard sector stability. Tourism remains the Maldives' primary economic pillar, driving foreign investment and supporting national growth. Vice President Latif highlighted the urgency of robust anti-corruption measures to protect investor confidence, noting that both government authorities and private enterprises must play an active role in closing gaps that could expose the sector to financial misconduct. In addressing the gathering, OIC Secretary General Hussein Brahmin Taha reinforced the significance of tackling corruption within member states, describing it as a global challenge that demands coordinated international efforts. He underscored the need for institutional reforms to uphold transparency and accountability across industries. The forum, themed Strengthening Integrity and Combating Corruption in the Tourism Sector, has drawn more than 170 delegates, including representatives from OIC member states, government agencies, and international organizations. During the proceedings, Saudi Arabia's Anti-Corruption Authority presented a token of appreciation to Vice President Latif, recognizing his commitment to reinforcing governance standards. Officials from across the Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) member states have convened in the Maldives for a high-level forum aimed at bolstering integrity within the sector. The Saudi Maldives International Forum on Integrity, jointly organized by the Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC) of the Maldives and Saudi Arabia's Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority (Nazaha), brings together senior policymakers, industry leaders, and governance experts. Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif attended the inaugural session held at Villa Nautica as the guest of honor. The event, centered on the theme Strengthening Integrity and Combating Corruption in the Tourism Sector, seeks to identify vulnerabilities within key regulatory frameworks, shaping policies that safeguard long-term industry stability. At the inauguration, ACC President Adam Shamil underscored the urgency of reinforcing ethical governance and framed the forum as a critical step in fostering an integrity-driven economy. Tourism, as he noted, is a cornerstone of prosperity for many OIC nations, yet corruption risks threaten its resilience. Effective anti-corruption policies, he stressed, must be implemented to ensure sustainable sector growth. Without decisive action, he argued, regulatory gaps could undermine investor confidence and weaken tourism markets. The conference builds upon resolutions from the second ministerial meeting of OIC anti-corruption law enforcement agencies, reinforcing commitments to transparency and ethical governance. Participants will assess systematic weaknesses across procurement systems, land use policies, and cross-sector collaboration, evaluating reforms that strengthen oversight mechanisms. systems. Discussions will explore several pivotal areas including inefficiencies in procurement, ethical lapses in tourism investment, and weaknesses in governance structures. A primary focus will be the evolving role of public-private partnerships as stakeholders examine models that mitigate mismanagement risk while fostering collaboration across industries. With global corruption risks influencing regulatory strategies, panelists will also consider mechanisms for international cooperation. Anti-corruption enforcement, asset recovery frameworks, and cross-border regulatory alignment are expected to feature prominently in deliberations. More than 180 senior officials representing over 40 OIC member countries are in attendance, alongside delegates from international organizations. High-level plenary sessions will feature ministers, governance specialists, and sector analysis debating solutions to reinforce ethical accountability and transparency in tourism administration. As discussions progress, participants are expected to outline actionable recommendations to bolster integrity standards across OIC nations, seeking to establish a tourism sector resilient against corruption. Defense Minister Mohammad Ghassan Mamoon says the government has declined to disclose full details of defense agreements with India, citing confidentiality clauses embedded within the agreements. He clarified the government's position during a parliamentary session in response to transparency concerns raised by Vaikaradu lawmaker Hussain Ziad. Restrictions on disclosure, he explained, stem from specific provisions governing information access. Since the Maldives gained independence in 1965, more than 100 agreements have been signed between the two nations, he explained. Of those, he stated that the Defense Ministry oversees 4. One of the key agreements under review pertains to the development of a naval dockyard at Utturu Tilafaro. Minister Ghassan stated that a high-level committee comprising representatives from both countries is examining the circumstances surrounding its formulation. In response to concerns over transparency, he affirmed the government's respect for parliamentary oversight, assuring that any information permitted for disclosure would be shared with the Parliament's Committee on National Security Services upon request. The minister also addressed questions regarding Indian military personnel in the Maldives. No Indian forces, he confirmed, are currently stationed in the country. Of the 71 Indian personnel previously deployed, all have been repatriated following bilateral discussions, with the final contingent departing on 9th May 2024. He further stressed that Indian soldiers had not carried weapons while stationed in the Maldives. The minister clarified that the Indian military presence had been limited to providing operational support for Dornier aircraft and helicopters operating under India's assistance program. Moving forward, these operations will be carried out by civilian personnel. The withdrawal, he noted, was a necessary step to ensure national sovereignty remains uncompromised. President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu had previously stated in a press conference that any clauses within existing agreements posing a risk to security, sovereignty, or independence of the Maldives had been addressed. Minister Ghassan reinforced that commitment, concluding that the government remains resolute in preserving the nation's peace, security, and independence. The government holds discussions with a visiting delegation from Brunei to explore a possible collaboration to strengthen the island nation's healthcare services. Senior officials from the Ministry of Health met with the visiting Brunei delegation, including representatives from the Chief Clinical Specialty Service and senior technical personnel. The ministry said the discussions focused on strengthening primary health care, nurse specialty training, cancer treatment, and exploring further collaboration in the health sector. According to the ministry, the meeting also discussed opportunities for local medical students to undertake internships in Brunei and develop mobile applications related to public health, to share knowledge and experience. The ministry added that strategies and best practices for running smoking cessation clinics were also shared in the meeting. The visiting Brunei delegation had also visited key healthcare facilities in the capital, Male, including Indira Gandhi Memorial Hospital (IGMH) and Damanaveshri, to observe Maldives' healthcare infrastructure and service delivery. Minister of State for Fisheries and Ocean Resources Dr. Amjad Ahmed has said that facilitating access of financial instruments of local banks to fishermen will be a major step towards the fishing industry of the country. Government has facilitated local fishermen to access Bank of Maldives BML's financial facilities. This will enable fishermen registered on the National Fishermen's Register to access a variety of credit facilities, including personal financing, credit cards and home loans based on their income. Speaking during PSM News Rajamia the program, Dr. Amjad said around 95% of the fishing vessels in the country have already entered the National Register, adding that the opportunity is still open for the remaining vessels. Amjad acknowledged the lack of access to credit facilities of financial institutions had been a long-standing concern of local fishermen. He assured that efforts are underway to facilitate access to other facilities and services to ensure much-needed social security for the local fishermen. Speaking during the program, BML's head of brand and marketing strategy, Muhammad Saeed, said the bank will differentiate between salaried employees and the income of a fisherman when reviewing loan applications. According to Saeed, BML will review the total annual deposits into the account of fishermen to determine the credit limit. Under the new arrangement, eligible fishermen can access personal financing up to $19,455 without collateral or equity requirements. In addition to personal financing, once registered on the National Fishermen's Register, fishermen will also be able to apply for home-built financing, home purchase financing, and home construction financing. BML had said repayment schedules will be structured considering seasonal variations in fishing income. The incumbent government has initiated several initiatives to address the concerns of local fishermen. The National Fishermen's Registry was established to promote financial inclusion and empowerment of local fishermen. Officers and crew from 9 countries have arrived in the Maldives to participate in the Indian Coast Guard's exercise to ensure safety and security in the Indian Ocean. A Maldivian officer and 3 crew members of the country's Coast Guard will take part in the exercise Security and Growth for All in the Region, SAGAR. Commander Kamal Singh Rana said the Indian vessel set sail on 5th April and stopped at 4 ports before arriving in the Maldives. The commander said naval officers and crew from countries in the Indian Ocean region are undergoing training on the ship, which include 12 officers and 32 crew members. Almost all the participants taking part in the exercises in the Indian Ocean have been trained in India. The exercises include maritime weapons, combat and helicopter rescue operations, he explained. Telecommunications giant Dhiraagu has posted a net profit of $15.1 million in the first quarter of the year. According to Dhiraagu's quarterly report, the net profit posted for the first quarter of the year is a 6.18% increase from the $14.1 million posted in the same quarter of 2024. The main revenue generators for the company during the first 3 months of the year were its mobile and fixed and broadband internet services. The report showed that Dhiraagu had earned $24.1 million from its mobile services during the quarter, which is marginally less than the $24.4 million posted in the first quarter of last year. Despite the decline in mobile services revenue, Dhiraagu had posted an increase in revenue from its fixed broadband services with $19.8 million. This is a 1.3% increase from the $19.5 million earned in the first 3 months of 2024. Dhiraagu posted a total revenue of $45.3 million in the first quarter of this year, which is a marginal decrease of 0.14% compared to the first quarter revenue generated during the same period last year. The S&P 500 fell to snap its longest streak of gains in 20 years on May 5th, as investors assessed U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariff announcement ahead of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy decision later this week. On May 4th, Trump announced a 100% tariff on movies produced outside the U.S., but provided no details on how such levies would be implemented.
Stocks have been volatile since Trump announced his first round of tariffs on April 2nd, with the S&P 500 initially dropping nearly 15% only to stabilize and climb for the last 9 straight sessions, its longest streak since 2004. On May 5th, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Trump's tariff, tax cut and deregulation agenda would work together to drive long-term investment to the U.S., adding markets could overcome any short-term turbulence. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 lost 35.47 points or 0.62% to end at 5,651.20 points, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 138.72 points or 0.73% to 17,839.01. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 102.10 points or 0.25% to 41,215.33. Several movie and television production stocks fell sharply right after Trump's announcement, but subsequently paired losses. Netflix fell to snap an 11-session winning streak, while Amazon.com and Paramount Global were also weaker.
Huge fires erupted at a cement factory in Yemen after the Israeli military said it carried out airstrikes against Hodeidah port and its vicinity a day after the Iran-aligned Houthis fired a missile that struck near Israel's main airport.
The Houthi-affiliated Al Masirah TV released footage of the aftermath at the Bajil cement factory, showing firefighters working to put out blazes and a body lying amongst the debris of a collapsed structure. Reuters independently verified the location of the footage by matching infrastructure details like pipes, handrails, tanks, and tower to file and satellite imagery. The date was verified by corroborating reports from Israeli military and the Houthi-run health ministry. Part of the footage, showing a column of fire in the distance, could not be independently verified. 5 residents told Reuters that more than 10 strikes targeted Hodeidah port and the Al-Salakhana and Al-Hawwaq neighborhoods in the city of Hodeidah. 4 strikes also targeted the cement factory east of Hodeidah. The Houthi-run health ministry spokesman Anis Al-Asbahi said that the strikes injured at least 21 people. 3 sources said the Houthis shut down the area around the port and cement factory following the strikes.
The Los Angeles Olympics in 2028 are set to showcase Long Beach, the vibrant coastal city in southeastern Los Angeles County, with a rich sports and cultural history that will host 11 events. Beach volleyball, water polo, sailing and sport climbing are among the popular competitions that will take place in the LBC, and Los Angeles Mayor Rex Richardson said the city is ready for its moment in the global spotlight. Richardson told Reuters that Long Beach is a great American city and many folks may not know about it. Long Beach is likely familiar to music lovers around the world due to its frequent mention in the songs of hip-hop legend and Team USA hype man Snoop Dogg, as well as 90s ska punk pioneer Sublime. The city has also punched above its weight when it comes to producing sports stars. Tennis icon Billie Jean King, 3-time Olympic beach volleyball champion Misty May Treanor, and 2012 Olympic gold medalist and NBA star Russell Westbrook all hail from the city. Long Beach's Woodrow Wilson High School has had an alumni represented every summer games the U.S. has participated since 1952 and is believed to have produced more Olympians than any other high school in the country. Long Beach State University, meanwhile, has consistently churned out Olympic volleyball, swimming, and water water polo standouts. The 2028 Games will mark the third time Long Beach has played a part in an Olympic. Marine Stadium was originally built to stage rowing events at the 1932 Games and will do so again nearly a century later, with rowing and canoe sprint taking place at the first ever man-made rowing course. Sailing will be held off Belmont Veterans Memorial Pier at Belmont Shore as the city's waterfront once again hosts the events after also doing so in 1984, the last time LA hosted the game. Richardson said hosting large-scale events is nothing new to the city. The Long Beach Grand Prix, the city's beloved 200-mile-per-hour beach party, drew over 200,000 attendees for its 50th anniversary last month in the shadow of the Long Beach Convention Center and Long Beach Arena, which will both be utilized in 2028. The 60th edition of the popular Congressional Cup Regatta was held off Veteran Memorial Pier last weekend in Long Beach's signature sea breeze. A group of Venezuelan biologists and veterinarians are raising hatchlings of the endangered Orinoco crocodile and releasing them into the wild in a bid to prevent, or at least delay, its extinction.
The pale tan Orinoco, with its long, narrow snout, is one of the largest living reptiles in the world. Its numbers have dwindled for decades because of poaching for its leather, while it is now also hunted for its meat and eggs by Venezuelans struggling to get by. Fewer than 100 adult desi. The animal's natures most of Venezuela's eggs. More hatchlings come from wildlife refuge Hatomasaguaral, which houses 8 of the crocodiles, while the private Leslie Panton Zoo, which specializes in endangered species, has 2 males and 1 female of reproductive age. The scientists incubate the eggs at Leslie Panton in the city of Turmero, about 100 kilometers or 60 miles from the capital Caracas. Once the eggs hatch, the scientists raise the baby animals for about a year until they reach a weight of around 6 kilograms or 13 pounds. On April 24th, 200 of the youngling crocodiles were released into the Capanaparo River in a remote area of southwestern Venezuela.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a pleasant day ahead.
PSM ಗೆ ಟಿವಿ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತಕ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತ ಮಿಹಾರು PSM Air application තිය බේෆුරුන්න හිලේ බලාලෙවෙන අදි අඩුව හාලෙවෙන දුනියගේ කොම්මෙ තාගුහුරගෙන් කොම්මೆ ಗಡಿಯಕು PSM ಗೆ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ತ ಬಲಾಲುಮ ಅವಹ PSM Air app ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಕುರವ್ವ ಮಿಹಾರು app store ಉನ್ನ Google Play Store ಇಂವೆಸ್ ಮಿ app ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಕೊಲ್ಲೆವೆನ ರೈಸು ಜಂಹೂರಿಯಾಗೆ ಉಫಿಹಾ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಗುಳಿಗೆನ್ ಕುರಿಯದ್ದ ಫೋರಂ ಆಹಾ ವಿ ಫೋರಂಗ ರೈತುನ ಬದ್ದಲ್ ಕುರವಾಣಿ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೋಮ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅಲಿ ಇಹ್ಸಾನ್ ಅಟಾರ್ನಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಅಲುಸ್ತಾಜ್ ಅಹ್ಮದ್ ಉಶಾಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಡ್ಯುಕೇಷನ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಇಸ್ಮಾಯಿಲ್ ಶಫೀಲ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿವಹಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೆರಿಟೇಜ್ ಆದಮ್ ನಸೀರ್ ಇಬ್ರಾಹಿಂ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ವೆಲ್ಫೇರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮರಿಯಂ ಮಾರಿಯಾ ವಜೀರುನ್ನ ಅತ್ಯಬೇಫ್ರಂ ಕುರವಂ ಬೇಣು ಫುಳುವ ಎವ್ವೆ ಸುವಾಲೆಂ ಎನ್ನಮ PSM Air ಮೆದುರಿಕೊ ಸುವಾಲ್ ಕುರವ ಮಿ ಫೋರಂ ಒಣ್ಣಾಣಿ ಮೇಮಹುಗೆ ಫಣರವ ಬುರಾಸ್ವತಿ ದೋಹುಗೆ ರೇ ನುವಗಡಿ ಸುಮ್ಮಿನಟುಗ TVM ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋಗ ಮಗುಮತಿಗೆ ಸಲಾಮತ ರಕ್ಕಾತಿರಿಕಮಂ ಹೆದಿಫಾವಾ ಕವಾದುತಕ ಸಮಾಲು ವೆಲವ್ವ ಫಿಹಾರತಕ ಮಿಸ್ಕಿತ ವಣ್ಣ ದೊರು ಬಂದುವಾಗುತ್ತ ಪಾಕು ನುಕುರ